It's a real honor to be asked to come and speak to this symposium this afternoon because while that's my title, I get to work with a team of people in Oakland whose vision and goals is to create the best possible learning and teaching conditions for all students and all teachers across the district. And so one of our central pieces of work is building communities. And at the heart of every community that we're working in are these relationships and how important the relationships are to be nurtured and cared for intentionally, and not only when it feels good, but also when we're having hard times and when it gets complicated. So we want to create the systems and structures that support those communities and support those relationships. And so that's why peer tutoring is such a valuable piece of our work and that we really hold quite dear. This afternoon, I'm going to be sharing this one strategy for peer tutoring that has as its goal both content, improving knowledge around content, but also community building. And one of the pieces that we consider is why does it matter? Because oftentimes in conversations with teachers who are having struggling students in their classrooms, their biggest concern is right to the content knowledge. And our work really is showing us that not only is it content knowledge, but creating the conditions for learning to occur. And for both sides of the peer tutoring equation, both the student who's doing the tutoring and the student who's receiving the tutoring. And in the process, as has been mentioned already, is this marvelous opportunity to build community, as well as having students become successful in this whole new world of Common Core. But as I said, it gets complicated, and I'm going to share my own story as a classroom teacher with peer tutoring. And like many classroom teachers, I had a combination. I was teaching a combination of 4th and 5th grade, and I had buddy reading, and it was very informal, kind of do-it-yourself, partner work in math, and I thought things were going pretty well. And I was pretty certain that particularly my math instruction was solid until we got our first set of benchmark assessments. And then I realized that while my teaching may have been fabulous, the student learning wasn't exactly in the same category. They weren't getting it. So I pulled a small group of kids together who were both doing well and also struggling. And I asked them what was going on, what was happening. And I was very surprised when they shared that they cared very much about me as a teacher, and they realized that I spent a lot of time preparing math lessons, and they didn't understand what I was talking about when I was presenting math lessons. And that because they liked me, they did not want to interrupt my lessons with questions because they thought it might throw me off and get me upset if there was this idea that they didn't understand. And so I said, what's the best way that you are learning? And in unison, and it came so fast, was the best way we learn is from each other. Give us more time to talk with each other after you give your lesson, and we're pretty sure it's going to work. So the following week, suddenly there was math discussion time. I had partner time. I started an informal munch and crunch lunch group where kids who wanted to help other kids and kids who needed help could self-select and come in for that kind of experience. And we had a pretty good year. Their math did improve, not terrifically, but enough to notice. But what I realized was that what I wasn't addressing was this piece around the relationships between the tutor and the tutee. What I didn't expect and what surprised me, and I also didn't really have the tools or knowledge to take care of, was the issues of one student feeling some shame and fear about receiving help, another student feeling frustrated that the help they were giving wasn't exactly moving the other student as quickly as they wanted, what it meant to be in a relationship with a peer where there was a higher level of competency and a lower level of skill sets, and they were in the same classroom together. It soon became clear to me that my skill set as a teacher wasn't significantly and sufficiently addressing the needs of the students, even though we were all really willing to step up to the plate for peer tutoring. We all thought this was a great idea. What I realized after I left the classroom was that there was a whole identifiable part of what was going on nationally that was called social and emotional learning that I did not become aware of until after I left the classroom. And social emotional learning is identified as a process for helping children and adults develop the fundamental skills for life effectiveness. SEL teaches the skills we all need to handle ourselves, our relationships, and our work effectively and ethically. This was exactly what I needed to have in place in my classroom, and it was exactly the piece that wasn't there. Fortunately, now, Oakland Unified School District has identified social emotional learning as one of the key priorities in our whole effort to become a full-service community district. And not only are these sort of general skills about becoming more effective, we're working with a group called the Collaborative for Academic Social Emotional Learning, and they've identified 5 very specific skills that can be taught and learned. Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And not only in elementary schools is this being addressed, but the intention is that throughout the whole district, and we like to say from the classroom to the boardroom, that everyone who is involved in the district will engage in improving their social emotional learning skills. The piece that's currently happening in classrooms that's explicitly addressing this is a program called Caring School Community. It's coming out of the Developmental Studies Center, which is right over here in Oakland, so they are our neighbors. And Caring School Community explicitly brings into the classroom those skills and competencies for social emotional learning. And the piece that is most intentional and direct is about bringing the whole school together is cross-age buddies. And this afternoon I'm going to take some time and we're going to take a look at exactly what cross-age buddies looks like. The thing that's important to know about it is that it is in 24 elementary schools. Next year we'll be in 30 schools. And it's reaching 12,000 students this year, and next year it will be 15,000. So this has a pretty significant footprint in the district right now for our students K through 5th grade. And the intent of this particular peer tutoring, cross-age buddies, is creating the conditions for learning for across the curriculum, very intentionally building a community, improving content knowledge, and also becoming successful in this new world of Common Core. So it holds all 4 of those intentionalities throughout its work. And the way Buddies is constructed is that it's let's see if I do this right. No, it's a little bit like a sandwich. There's the bottom piece, which is around the preparation. And the preparation begins with buddy teachers working together. So it's not only just the students, but it's also the adults in the community that are engaged in preparation and working together. The buddies activity itself is very exciting, it's interesting, it's a lot of hands-on activity-based work. But the learning that I feel is the most powerful is the reflective piece after the buddies have engaged. And we'll take a look and see what it actually looks like in the classroom. Key to all of the work that the district is doing around developing these social emotional learning capacities is the assumption first that the adults must engage in this type of work themselves. So often programs come in and the expectation is somehow it will be done to students instead of the adults in the building and in the district engaging in the process themselves. So a big part of the work initially is helping teachers set aside the time and practices to do the kinds of planning, to selecting which partners are going to be working together well. And usually there's a 2 grade level difference between buddies. So you would have a 5th grade buddy working with a 3rd grade buddy, pretty typically. That would be the range. And so that means you would have a 3rd grade teacher working with a 5th grade teacher as well. Not only is there preparation for the teachers, but then each classroom takes time to prepare the students in anticipation of what's coming. There's rehearsal of what the different roles are for the younger and older buddy. There's also a discussion about what the challenges might be to be in this relationship. And there's also practicing actually what the activities might be. Then when the buddies are together, there's a whole building their skill set for a gradual release model. So they start off with planning the activity together, they make decisions together, they rehearse what it's like to agree and disagree, they co-create, they share, they problem solve, and then when they're together, they also reflect on what it felt like to help and be helped. At the end, they each go back to their own classroom, they answer open-ended questions, they identified what they've learned, they organize their thinking, and they also address and look ahead of what they would like to improve next time they're with their buddies. And I think the best way for you to actually experience this is to see what this looks like. There's a great story about a physics professor at Harvard presenting quantum mechanics for the first time and saying, I taught quantum mechanics and I looked and they didn't understand, so I taught it again and the class still didn't understand what I was talking about. So I taught it a 3rd time and I finally understood it. So I think that's a wonderful reminder about who is learning in that relationship. Yeah. Any other maybe puzzlements or wonderings about what we're talking about today?
We were having a discussion about justifying the time devoted to preparing students for tutoring and then engaging in the tutoring activities as a potential challenge in a very academic, standards-based environment.
Yes. And I think that's one of the pieces of the adult journey of peer tutoring is making the connection of why does this matter? Remember, that's how we started the afternoons. Why does peer tutoring matter? Because it matters not only for the community building and the sense of worth and self-esteem, but it also impacts academics. And when you're looking at research, it does show that, but until a teacher actually experiences that themselves, it's a very hard sell as a theoretical piece. It occurs in the doing. And I would say that's one of the implications for the work of a district. And so what does it mean for a district to hold something like a very systematic, structured way of engaging students in developing their capacities and skills to be in a peer relationship? And Oakland takes this very seriously. So this work is beginning in kindergarten. And I'm thinking, wouldn't, having been a former middle school, delved briefly into middle school math teaching, it would have been so amazing to have a group of students who had had this type of skill set developed over a 6-year period before they arrived in middle school, to know how to have those type of partner relationships. So Oakland, as I say, the Caring School community is in 24 elementary schools, but we're also identifying programs in support for secondary schools as well. The other piece that's going on that's also very exciting is that the Caring School community work is currently being integrated into elementary math instruction in the district, and next year it will also be integrated into balanced literacy. So these skills and strategies will be infused into those curriculum, and also that it becomes part of the practices of the adults. This year we're and one of the reasons I'm here is that we've embarked on an awareness, listening, and learning campaign so that these ideas of social emotional learning having being a priority in the district is that the adults and students and youth in the system become aware of it. And we also have a group of teachers who are currently working on developing social and emotional learning standards pre-K through 12th grade. So we're in with both feet to this work. And peer tutoring, again, is an extraordinary opportunity to practice and develop robust social emotional learning skills and build strong communities across the district. So thank you for your time. Thank you very much. And have a great symposium. I'm very excited to hear from other folks.